Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a quick wrap-up video of the 5 series that I binge read in 2022. It is now already February of 2023, but you know, all the content you want to get out at the beginning of the year, it adds up. So this will probably be the last video that focuses on my reading last year, and then we have a clean slate and we can go into the 2023 reading a little bit more. But yes, I have read 5 whole series in the year of 2022. It was my goal and I literally finished it on the 31st of December. So we were cutting it close, but it worked out and I was very proud of myself because I love binge reading series. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love chunky books and I love binging series. So this was something very satisfying for me, and these were all series that I had my eye on usually from when the first book was out. So I usually, see a beginning of a series and I think like, oh, that sounds so interesting, I definitely want to read that. But then I wait until all the books are out and then I forget about these series. So this is my attempt to actually catch up and to read those series that I have been interested in for years at this point. And so today we're doing a ranking video of those 5. I have already set a number or a list of 5 series I want to read in 2023. So if you're interested in that, I have a reading goals video up for that. But let's rank them from worst to best. And let me just say this. I enjoyed 4 of the 5 series I read a lot and would highly recommend them. One I did not enjoy so much, but it was like my personal thing because I realized that the way this series was focusing on certain themes and topics, I wasn't really interested in those. So it wasn't the fault of the series, so I still rated it quite highly, but it was just not for me personally. And so we'll start with that series, and if you have watched my channel for the last year, you probably know that was the Poppy War series. So this is my 5th spot. So we have the Poppy War, the Dragon Republic, and the Burning God, all by R.F. Kuang. This is a trilogy that follows a girl called Rin, and this is very much a military fantasy. It is quite dark, there's quite a lot of very horrible things happening, and while we follow our main character of Rin, she gets more and more ruthless and just following her path, basically. Now, what I did not enjoy about this series is that the focus is very much on the military, and it's just not in a way that I enjoy, like where it's a lot of like political like manipulation, like making strategies. It's more like day-to-day life of fighting your way through a war. And I just don't care, unfortunately. I also had a little bit of an issue with the way that this is heavily inspired by Chinese history. So there are like certain plot points where you can definitely see what they were inspired by. And I always have a little bit of an issue with fantasy that is obviously fantasy, but then follows a plot that is like real history. I don't know, that just, I don't know. So unfortunately, that one was not for me. That's also why I still have not read Babel or Babel or whatever people want to call it these days, because I just have a feeling that that will also just be like a weak 4-star book for me personally, just because of what I heard and because how I felt with this series. So we'll see. The 4th spot, this is, I don't know how I feel about it. I would say it's a shared 3rd place basically, because I can't really decide which one of those series I actually enjoyed more, but like doing the math of the star ratings, this one is in 4th place, and that is the Greenbone Saga by Fonda. I absolutely enjoyed this series a whole lot, and I still remember a lot of it, and I still think about the characters. And that's just one thing that I noticed about myself, that I do love good characters. Like, not that they're doing good, but that they're just written in a way that they feel real, that I care about them, that I want them to succeed, or maybe that I love to hate them, but they just have to be written in a very good way. And I think we have that in the Greenbone saga. The characters are fleshed out so much, we learn so much about them. But when I started with Jade City, in the middle of that book something happens that I think is very brave to do, but it's just something that was very jarring for me as a reader, and that meant that I struggled a lot with the second half of the book because I was just not getting over it. And so that's why I think this is in fourth place, not because it's worse than the other series, but just because Fonda just tried something and I had to like deal with that for a while. But nonetheless, as I said, I love these characters. I think having this like very long perspective that we get in this series, like we follow these characters basically through most of their lives, they really stay with you. You know what I mean? So it's an amazing series that I would highly recommend. So we're talking about Jade City, Jade War, and Jade Legacy, the Greenbone Saga, just in case you haven't heard the name yet. So then third place is the Diviner series by Libba Bray. As I said, in my feelings, it's on a similar level as the Greenbone Saga, but they're vastly different. While I would say that the strong point of the Greenbone Saga are the amazing characters, with the Diviners, it's more the vibe and the plot that I enjoyed, I think. There are definitely characters that I also really loved, and I enjoyed that it is a very diverse series. So we have a ton of like, different characters that we focus on, and we have like LGBT representation, we have a disability rep, we have different like racial representation. So as I said, a very diverse series, and one where it also makes sense. But broken down, the Diviner series is set in the 1920s in New York, and we're following a group of people who have some kind of magical abilities, and they're trying to find out why they have them. And while they do that, they become friends or sometimes even lovers, and they also solve some mysteries. So the first two books are much more mystery focused, and then in the third and fourth book it goes into the overarching plot of where these powers come from. So this is I think the only YA series in this, so it also kind of like pops out a little bit. And what I have to say about the Diviners in that regard is that because the books were written with a lot of time in between each book, they read very differently in the age range. So with the Diviners, it still reads quite young, but then the later books are definitely very dark and very heavy. So I think for teenagers to completely binge read the series now is probably quite jarring as well. But I enjoyed it because I'm not a teenager anymore, so I actually liked getting into these deeper, darker themes as the series progressed. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. This is the only 4-book series, so we have the Diviners, Lair of Dreams, Before the Devil Breaks You, and the King of Crows. And I can recommend it if you're intrigued by it. Then on the second place we have the Devabad trilogy, and I must say, if I would have read this any other year, it would have been in the first spot because it was amazing. I absolutely love a desert fantasy, so the Devabad trilogy was right up my alley. This is City of Brass, Kingdom of Copper, and Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty, and this is such an amazing trilogy. And this one we follow mainly two characters. We have Nahri, who is kind of a thief or also like a healer, and one day she realizes that maybe her healing powers aren't all human, that there is something going on, and then she is whisked away to this magical city of Devabad, where we also have a prince that we are following as a second perspective, Ali, who is kind of brought up to be the second in line to the throne, so it's very clear his older brother will be on the throne one day, and Ali's position will be to protect him and help him and obey him. And we follow these two characters on a very long journey as well. Many people complain that the first book, City of Brass, reads little YA as well, but I think I never had that feeling, especially if I compare it to something as The Diviners. I don't think it reads very YA, but that's what people have said. And then after the first book, we have a 5-year time jump, so all of our characters are also a little bit older, and then we get really into the nitty-gritty of the political intrigue, and it was just amazing. That's what I read fantasy for, like all these like manipulations and the intrigue and how everyone tries to best everyone else. It's gorgeous, and I love that series so much, and I would highly recommend it. The second book, Kingdom of Copper, even made it onto my best books of the year list, so yeah, definitely highly recommend, so good. And then my number one series is no surprise at all, because it was on the top of my best of the year list, and that is the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. So we have the 5th season, The Obelisk Gate and The Stone Sky. I have been meaning to read this series for such a long time, and I'm so glad I finally did it. Actually, when some people on a Discord where I'm quite active started reading the 5th season this year, I was so intrigued to just do a reread. But it would take way too long, and I have too many unread books, but it was really itching me. I was like, oh, I want to get back to these characters. I just love everything about this series. I gave each single book in the series 5 stars. Each one of these won the Hugo Award in the respective year, and absolutely deserved. This series is just so good, and in this one we follow, in the first book, 3 perspectives, and basically as we look at this world, we have 2 kinds of people. We have like normal people who don't have any abilities, and then we have origins, or whatever they're called, and they can manipulate the earth. So they can do earthquakes, they can make the volcanoes explode and stuff like that. And those are the oppressed people in this world. And we are following 3 perspectives, and they all have something to do with this. And we just get like a very good look at this world. And basically, when we start this series, the world starts ending. So we have something very traumatic happen that sets off the ending of the world. I love the series so much. It has such good themes. Like, obviously it deals a lot with oppression, because we see how these origins are treated, how they're feared and at the same time put down, and how the others try to kind of reign over them. And then a very strong theme is also motherhood, and what we do to like prepare our children for this world that we live in, which is not just, and there is no equality and stuff like that. So what this does to the children as well, it's just so good. It's a fantastic series. As I said, I would like reread it at any time. I love it. And now I'm really scared to read the other books by N.K. Jemisin, because I think this is the peak so far. And so I will probably be kind of disappointed with the other ones. But yeah, let's just keep it at that. This video is probably already too long. But just to sum it up, we have the Poppy War series on the 5th spot. Then we have the Greenbone Saga on kind of the shared 3rd spot with the Diviner series. And then we have the Devabad series on the 2nd spot, and the Broken Earth trilogy as the first one. And I have reading vlogs for all of these series. So if you're interested in more thoughts, or maybe you've read the series and you want to hear also my spoilery thoughts, then I would highly recommend checking out my vlogs, because that's all in there. So thank you so much for watching, and yeah, if you like this video, leave a like and let me know if you've read any of these or if you're planning on reading any of these, and I will talk to you very, very soon. Bye!